Good evening and thanks for joining us at 6. I'm Kevin Christopher.
And I'm Angie Bevan. In tonight for Nancy Cox. And tonight we're learning more about an apparent abduction in Ohio that led to a deadly officer-involved shooting in northern Kentucky.
KSP officials say Tyrell Pounds and Skylar Williams were killed while the trooper wasn't hurt. Kylan Mills has the new details in the LEX 18 big story at 6.
Kentucky State Police officials tell us Tyrell Pounds is the one who fired the gunshot that killed Skylar Williams. They also called the trooper involved in this incident an exemplary law enforcement officer. Police say on Monday afternoon a 911 call came in about a woman being forced into a car by a man who may have a weapon at this Valero gas station in Gallatin County.
But we've actually talked to one witness that is second-guessing himself. Should I have done more? But when you're confronted with someone with a weapon, what we tell people to do is call the police. Troopers
tried to stop the car in Henry County, but a chase on I-71 stretched into Oldham County. Reportedly, they used stop sticks on a ramp to end the chase. KSP officials said today that at this point, troopers didn't know that Tyrell Pounds and Skylar Williams were inside of that car. They also didn't know that Pounds allegedly abducted Williams at gunpoint from a parking lot on the Ohio State University Mansfield campus. Investigators tell us that Trooper Joey Brown approached the car on that ramp, saw that Pounds had a gun, and fired several shots. Police say Pounds was wearing a bulletproof vest, but some of the bullets hit him above or on the side of the vest, and he was killed. Williams also was shot and killed.
Officer Brown took a tourniquet from his duty belt and attempted to stop the bleeding from her arm. She was bleeding profusely. So even though he'd been involved in a severe incident, a shooting, he attempted to save her life.
Covering the news, Kylan Mills, LEX 18 News.
KSP officials say Trooper Joey Brown was placed on administrative leave while the investigation is ongoing. We're told he's a 5-year veteran of the department with no disciplinary actions in his file.
The Bishop of Covington says high school students embroiled in a national firestorm last month can move on with their lives, claiming a third-party investigation shows the Covington Catholic students did not instigate an incident with Native Americans in Washington, D.C. LEX 18's Mike Valenti has more.
It was the video seen round the world, a group of young students donning MAGA hats who appeared to be staring down a Native American elder.
We were surrounded. We couldn't go right, we couldn't go left, back.
And at the center of the controversy was junior Nick Sandman.
As far as standing there, I had every right to do so. My position is that I was not disrespectful to Mr. Phillips.
Well, if there's an apology, there'd be an apology for his own behavior.
But chances of an apology are even less likely after a third-party investigation into the incident found that there was no evidence to suggest the students made any offensive or racist comments to Nathan Phillips or the black Hebrew Israelites, who could be seen on video yelling slurs at the students. Phillips said he walked up to the students to defuse that situation. And despite suggestions to the contrary, the report also found that there was no evidence that students performed a build the wall chant. Some, however, did do a tomahawk chop. Today, the Bishop of Covington said the investigation's findings exonerate the students. But the question remains, will it do much of anything to sway critics' opinions? Covering the news, Mike Valenti, LEX 18 News.
The investigation was commissioned by the Diocese of Covington, and the report does not rule out the chance of new evidence emerging in the future.
After a couple of days where the winds have been howling, they're gradually subsiding. In fact, when we're looking at the wind gusts, only a few places still reporting. Frankfurt at 23, and you got some upper teens from London all the way up to Flemingsburg. And if you don't see a town with a wind gust there, that means winds are basically less than 15 miles an hour, and so things are settling down. It is chilly. We're down to the middle upper 30s from I-64 and north from Mount Sterling and Moorhead through Flemingsburg. Although Lexington, we do sit at 40, and the same in Frankfurt, same in Jackson. Somerset's at 41, so is Richmond and Monticello. Max Track Live Doppler, that's a rarity. Nothing is going on right now. We are watching some high thin clouds that have been coming through during the day. We'll see a few more of them during the night tonight. Those high thin clouds are actually on the leading edge of warmer air as it tries to overrun the chillier air here at the surface. Now, we won't see any rain from those clouds during the day tomorrow. Late tomorrow night, that story changes. A little bit of rain will come in here as we start off your Friday. Your weekend has kind of an interesting look. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
All right, Bill, thanks.
Well, Valentine's Day is tomorrow, but the so-called Cupid of Chaos sits in an Ohio jail accused of saying "I do" too many times.
Michael Middleton is accused of having as many as 4 wives. According to a marriage license, one of those weddings was in southern Kentucky. Conroy DeLuche has the story.
Ashley Middleton is Michael Middleton's wife. Her marriage certificate shows that they were married in Williamsburg, Kentucky.
It disgusts me. It hurts me.
Alicia Grant says she is also married to Michael Middleton.
Wife number 3.
That's right, and according to police, there are 2 other women in Georgia and Alabama that are also married to Michael Middleton.
He marries you, abuses you, drains your assets, and leaves.
Ashley sat down with NBC4 in Columbus, Ohio, and alongside her mother, could barely hold back tears talking about her husband.
I don't know how he could say he loved me and just lied to my face for 3 years.
Michael Middleton was caught on video getting arrested last week in Columbus, outside of Ashley's parents' home. The Franklin County, Ohio Sheriff's Office says that he was wanted out of New Hampshire for bigamy and out of Maine for charges, including domestic violence.
I think he preys on certain women that's been hurt or women that just needs that reassurance. And then he plays whatever part they need and turns them against their family.
Now he sits in a jail in Ohio as families across the country wait for him to answer the charges. Covering the news, Conroy DeLuche, LEX 18 News.
Ashley and her mother told the NBC Columbus reporter that she had a child with Michael 2 years ago, but Michael forged her signature to put the baby up for adoption. Another search and rescue organization is headed to the Bluegrass to help look for Savannah Spurlock.
The Ohio Midwest chapter of Texas EquiSearch will be setting up a command center for a search beginning Saturday. Spurlock has been missing for more than 5 weeks after leaving a Lexington bar with 3 men. The Richmond Police Department, Garrett County Emergency Management, and the Cajun Coast Search and Rescue have all worked to try to locate Spurlock. Volunteers are needed for Saturday's search, and to be eligible, they must be at least 18 years old, have a valid driver's license or state ID, be dressed for the weather, and physically able to search. Searchers with ATVs are also needed.
A serial killer who has confessed to 90 murders has drawn sketches of 16 of his alleged victims as the FBI works to connect him to decades-old cold cases around the country.
And one of those sketches is of a woman with ties to northern Kentucky. Samuel Little was captured in Louisville in 2012 and convicted in 2014 of killing 3 women in California back in the 1980s. He was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences. Recently, Little drew sketches of 15 women he claims he killed, including a woman who was killed in 1984. Little met the woman in Columbus, Ohio, and her body was disposed of in northern Kentucky. Little claims he's killed 90 people across the country. So far, the FBI has linked him to 34 murders. Police are asking for help as they search for the person who stole shingles in broad daylight from a Richmond family. It happened yesterday around 2 o'clock, and thanks to technology, police have a jump start on their search. Claire Kopsky has that story.
He was prepared. He knew what he was doing.
He's referring to the driver of this truck who backed into his driveway yesterday afternoon and started loading up.
I got home last night about 6 o'clock and I noticed that one of the pallets was significantly shorter than before. So I was like, of course, something's happened.
The pallets were full of shingles for Devin's roof that had a hole and with all the rain has been leaking. The driver didn't waste any time yesterday. In less than 2 minutes, 15 bags of shingles were loaded and driven away. The owner of the company says if it weren't for the weather, the shingles would have already been on the roof.
Since they sat there a few days, people seen it,
So about $400 worth of shingles disappeared.
And I don't know if he's ever used the shingles. Maybe we'll get them back. Okay, so the sooner we catch him, yes. Hopefully he's not putting them on today.
Richmond police are still looking for the driver, but thanks to Devin's security cameras, their job is a little easier.
I actually have them on every side of my house, so we're covered on all sides. But yeah, it's just I picked it up on Amazon and installed it literally about a month ago.
He says the peace of mind is worth every penny.
I mean, $90 investment to save 4 or 5. I mean, however much money you save from a theft, I mean, it's absolutely worth a $90 investment.
Covering the news in Madison County, Claire Kopsky, LEX 18 News.
A Kentucky fisherman recently reeled in the catch of a lifetime And that fish is getting a lot of national attention.
How about a closer look at the rather large goldfish? Next on LEX 18 News at 6.